CIA chief says Iran nuclear site severely damaged by U.S. strikes, despite leaked report claiming the impact was minimal. The head of the CIA has said a body of credible intelligence indicates that Iran's nuclear program was severely damaged by a U.S. operation last weekend. Director John Ratcliffe revealed that information from a historically reliable and accurate source suggests several key sites were destroyed and will take years to rebuild. This contrasts with a recently leaked report from the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency that cast doubt on the effectiveness of Operation Midnight Hammer. An assessment obtained by several media outlets concluded that bombing of 3 nuclear facilities might only have set back Iran's capabilities by a few months. Donald Trump has refuted this leak in the strongest possible terms, describing it as fake news and insisting the military's targets were totally obliterated. He added, "This was a devastating attack, and it knocked them for a loop." The U.S. president went on to reveal that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will be holding a major news conference later today that will be interesting and irrefutable. On Truth Social, he claimed that the great American pilots involved in the operation were very upset by the leaked report. The White House has highlighted an Israeli statement that suggested Tehran's nuclear efforts have now been delayed for a few years, with Iran's foreign ministry also confirming the facilities have suffered significant damage. But drawing reliable conclusions about the impact of the bunker buster bombs remains difficult, especially only days after they took place. Jeffrey Lewis, a professor of nonproliferation at the Middlebury Institute, said, "If it's too early to know, why is Trump saying it's obliterated? Either it's too early to know, or you know." In other developments, Mr. Trump has confirmed the U.S. will be holding talks with Iran next week. However, he said he doesn't think an agreement to curtail its nuclear program is needed, because Iran's facilities are now too badly damaged. They're not going to be doing it anyway. They've had it, he claimed. A fragile ceasefire between Israel and Iran is held for a second day, with the skies over major cities quiet overnight. The president joined fellow world leaders at a NATO summit in The Hague yesterday, where members agreed to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP. Pakistan says it will nominate Donald Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. Pakistan has said it would recommend Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize for his work in helping to resolve the recent conflict between India and Pakistan. Pakistan's announcement it would nominate Mr. Trump comes in the same week as its army chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, met the U.S. president for lunch. Some analysts in Pakistan have suggested the move might persuade the U.S. president to reconsider potentially joining Israel in striking Iran's nuclear facilities. Pakistan has condemned Israel's attack on Iran as a violation of international law and said it threatens regional stability. Last month, a surprise announcement by Mr. Trump of a ceasefire brought an end to a 4-day conflict between India and Pakistan, 2 nuclear-armed states. The U.S. president has repeatedly boasted of averting a nuclear war and saving millions of lives, and has complained about not getting enough credit. While Pakistan agrees U.S. diplomatic intervention brought the fighting to an end, India has disputed that, saying it was a bilateral agreement between the two militaries. President Trump demonstrated great strategic foresight and stellar statesmanship through robust diplomatic engagement with both Islamabad and New Delhi, which de-escalated a rapidly deteriorating situation. This intervention stands as a testament to his role as a genuine peacemaker, Pakistan said. Mr. Trump has long craved the Nobel Peace Prize, claiming he should have been awarded it for a variety of reasons. In a post on his Truth Social platform on Friday, the president gave a long list of conflicts he claimed he had resolved, including Pakistan and India and the Abraham Accords in his first term between Israel and some Muslim-majority countries. "I won't get a Nobel Peace Prize no matter what I do," he added. Trump considers 3 or 4 successors to stupid Fed Chair Powell. Donald Trump has revived his criticism of the head of the U.S. Central Bank, describing Jay Powell as terrible and stupid, adding that there were up to 4 candidates to succeed him. The president, who threatened to fire Mr. Powell earlier this year before U-turning on that course this month, has consistently demanded the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates to help bolster economic growth. But the central bank has held off since Mr. Trump's second term in office began, citing threats to the pace of price growth from his on-off trade war. By raising tariffs on imports in a bid to boost American jobs and make U.S.-produced goods more competitive, Mr. Powell believes the specter of inflation is looming over the world's largest economy. "I know within 3 or 4 people who I'm going to pick," Mr. Trump said in remarks to reporters while on his visit to Europe for the NATO summit at The Hague. He said Mr. Powell, the Fed chair, was an average-minded person with a low IQ for what he does. "I think he's a very stupid person, actually," he added. U.S. media suggest the contenders to succeed Mr. Powell include former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh, National Economic Council head Kevin Hassett, current Fed Governor Christopher Waller and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. The Fed chair is not due to leave his position until May next year. The Federal Reserve, like the Bank of England in the UK, is independent of government. Mr. Trump is desperate to grow the U.S. economy after a sharp slowdown in the first quarter of the year was blamed on the threat of his trade war and early salvos. Analysts see Mr. Trump's on-off criticism of Mr. Powell as an attempt to influence monetary policy through the back door. The prospects of a battle to remove him has previously rattled financial markets. For his part, Mr. Powell told a congressional hearing on policy on Tuesday that higher tariffs from the trade war could push up inflation this summer, a time when the Fed has already indicated it could move to cut its target range for interest rates. King and Donald Trump will no longer hold private meeting before state visit. A private meeting between Donald Trump and the King will not take place before a full state visit, as was initially proposed in a letter of invitation from the monarch. It's understood this has been accepted and appreciated by all parties. It has been suggested the complexities of both principals' diaries has meant a private meeting is not possible over the course of the summer months, and thus the formal planning for an official state visit has begun. It appears the visit is likely to take place in September, as mentioned previously by Mr. Trump, but this has not been officially confirmed by Buckingham Palace. The palace has confirmed that last week the Manu Regia was hand-delivered by representatives from the UK's Washington Embassy to the White House. This is the hand-signed formal invitation from the King to President Trump for a second state visit. This follows the initial correspondence from His Majesty, which outlined one way in which a visit or visits might be arranged would be through an initial private meeting. Confirmation of the dates of the state visit will follow in due course in the normal way. A palace aide said, "His Majesty has known President Trump for many years and looks forward to hosting him and the First Lady later this year." There have been reports the decision not to hold a private meeting before a state visit was going against the King's wishes, but the palace continues to stress that the King has continued to act on the advice of government, and that the palace and government remain fully aligned and mutually supportive in the preparations for the visit. Shell denies report of BP takeover talks. Shell has denied it is in talks with BP over a possible takeover of its smaller rival. The Wall Street Journal, citing a number of sources, reported on Wednesday evening that discussions between the two UK-based energy firms were at an early, but active, stage. The US publication added that BP was considering the approach. Its story was published soon after the London Stock Exchange had closed for the day, but US-listed depository shares in BP were 10% up in New York shortly after publication, while those for Shell were down. However, Shell responded to the story by telling, "This is further market speculation. No talks are taking place." As we have said many times before, we are sharply focused on capturing the value of Shell through continuing to focus on performance, discipline, and simplification. The rally for BP shares fell back in the wake of the statement. BP declined to comment. The company has been widely seen as a possible takeover target for years, as its market value has lagged behind the growth of industry peers. It was valued at nearly £59 billion as of Wednesday, while Shell had a market capitalization of over £153 billion. The gulf between them has widened since 2020, when BP, under the then-chief executive Bernard Looney, embarked on a fundamental shift towards a green energy future. The lofty ambitions were slowly chipped away following record leaps in oil and natural gas costs in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Much of the strategy was overturned in a reset by current boss Murray Auchincloss in February this year, under pressure from shareholders. BP's debt pile has been seen as a potential barrier to takeover interest. Rare offering: entire Scottish island with ruined castle goes on sale for £5.5 million. An entire Scottish island, complete with a ruined castle and several holiday homes, has gone on sale for £5.5 million. Shuna Island spans approximately 1,110 acres and is on sale for the first time after being held by the same family for 80 years. Estate agent Sotheby's International Realty said the island was a truly rare offering, rich in heritage, natural wonder, and possibility. The island features the remains of Shuna Castle, an early 20th century structure with panoramic coastal views, as well as 8 residential properties which can house 52 people. The historic castle also has the potential for redevelopment, subject to planning rules, according to the estate agent. The island also supports livestock farming and is teeming with wildlife, from red and fallow deer to eagles and porpoises, it said. The island's traditions also include country sports and deer stalking, it added. The island is powered by a renewable energy system with photovoltaic panels, wind turbines, battery storage, and backup generators. It also has a private pier, slipways for boats, and a helipad. Sotheby's International Realty said, whether as a regenerative tourism venture or a family estate, this extraordinary Hebridean island offers an exceptional life lived off the beaten path.